Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo, and God, the Oscars is just a bunk job, right? The other day, I did a video talking about how nobody wants to host the Oscars, right? And it's like the worst job in Hollywood. And I said it's because SJWs ruin everything. And it turns out I'm right. It turns out I'm absolutely right. Because as the video was getting ready to go out, it was announced that Kevin Hart was going to be hosting. And I thought, oh, that's actually a pretty good choice. I like Kevin Hart. He's pretty funny. But that even turned to shit right away when Kevin Hart's old tweets resurfaced. These are tweets from like 10 years ago where he said some homophobic things and some of the routines in his earlier stand-up bits when he was being edgy. And you guys got to remember, as we've learned with the James Gunn situation, Twitter from like 6 to 10 years ago, vastly different place, completely different place. Edgy humor ruled the roost. Everyone is trying to outdo each other with edgy humor, as we've learned. Again, that's just the way that it was. I'm not saying like, don't acknowledge that the past is the past, but also realize that we're just in a different place as a society in that regard, and then also move the hell on. But here's the thing: Kevin Hart did move on because he already stepped down as host from the Oscars. So saying here that Wednesday afternoon, popular actor comedian Kevin Hart was announced as the host for the upcoming 91st Annual Academy Awards. By Thursday night, he had stepped down. The turn of events followed outcry over previous anti-gay tweets and comments Hart made during stand-up routines nearly 10 years ago. Some of the tweets were feverishly deleted throughout the day on Thursday, leading to an Instagram video from the comedian that only made matters worse for him. Now, the problem with it is ultimately in this case is the fact that he ended up deleting the tweets. That only draws the attention to them, right? And I understand the deletion. I get that entirely. You realize you just don't want it on there. You might as well just get rid of it. Fine, be done with it, move on. But I want to show you guys his Instagram video that's been seen 1.8 million times because I do feel that it gives a lot of idea as to where he's coming from. And you can see the frustration from having dealt with this for probably about 10 years now, and how he's got no chill on it, which ultimately didn't really work out well for him in the end, I think. But you can kind of see that there's frustration after dealing with this for years, because I just feel like that's adds valuable context to the situation here.
From the Academy, and that call basically said, Kevin, apologize for your tweets of old, or we're going to have to move on and find another host. Talking about the tweets from 2009, 2010. I chose to pass. I passed on the apology. The reason why I passed is because I've addressed this several times. This is not the first time this has come up. I've addressed it. I've spoken on it. I've said where the rights and wrongs were. I've said who I am now versus who I was then. I've done it. I'm not going to continue to go back and tap into the days of old when I moved on and I'm in a completely different space in my life. The same energy that went into finding those old tweets could be the same energy put into finding the response to the questions that have been asked years after years after years. We feed in the internet trolls and we reward them. I'm not going to do it, man. I'm going to be me. I'm going to stand my ground. Regardless, Academy, I'm thankful and appreciative of the opportunity. If it goes away, no harm, no foul.
Okay, so he apologized years ago, and he's done with it. He's done with it. But I think what got him really upset was that they gave him an ultimatum, right? And the ultimatum comes from the fact that the Academy has been woke ever since the whole Oscars So White campaign, and their change up last year, and how they've been trying to I guess you could say do more in terms of diversity and inclusion, which ultimately I don't have any real problem with, but it's how they go about it. You could see that this is the whole situation, right? They're trying to make him apologize for something he's already apologized for, and they're feeding into the trolls. They're giving trolls the power. A lot of trolls in this particular case are only bringing this crap up simply because they want to have something to try to knock him down. One of the biggest things with internet trolls is that they try to take people down to simply make themselves feel better. The term is bullies. It really is. It's the best term to use here, is that these guys are pretty much just bullies. And you could see there was frustration there. You could see there was frustration, and he was like, screw this. I'm just going to I'm just going to stand my ground on this one. I'm not going to do it. But then this happened. He says, I've made the choice to step down from hosting this year's Oscars. This is because I do not want to be a distraction on a night that should be celebrated by so many amazing, talented artists. I sincerely apologize to the LGBTQ community for my insensitive work from my past. I am sorry that I hurt people. I'm evolving. I want to continue to do so. My goal is to bring people together and to not tear us apart. Much love and appreciation to the Academy. I hope we can meet again. And the thing is, a lot of his apology was even met with, like, you know, just responses of like, I reject this, you know, and all that jazz. And it just became this thing where it's like, you know, aren't you ever going to get to a point where you're going to let the dude grow? aren't you ever gonna get to the point where you just let the dude like kind of live his life? I mean, people make mistakes, right? Myself included. All we can do as humans is acknowledge those past mistakes and grow from them. But when you try to hold people hostage to them, that says more about you than it does them. Because if someone is trying to grow and you're constantly throwing it back in their face, it makes it difficult for them to show anything because you're not looking for it. You yourself are not looking for it. You don't want to acknowledge that they can evolve as a person. You just want to use it as a way to get at them. It's a shitty part of the human experience. It's a shitty part of the online experience, but that's a lot of where we find ourselves here. Kevin Wright was right to not apologize for something he'd already apologized for, right? He apologized before, apologizing again, especially through an ultimatum to get a job like the Oscars. Even I would have said, no, man, fuck you. I'm not going to do that, right? And I mean, that's the truth of it. And I think a lot of people out there are going to just boycott the Oscars. A lot of people in the comment section on that Instagram video are like, I'm not even going to watch now anyway. I was only going to watch if you were going to go. Now I'm just not going to watch at all. And that's the thing is the Academy Awards has been losing relevance for years. Having him go up there and host it, would have been, I think, better for them. I think what they should have done is they should have been like, okay, Kevin, we acknowledge that you have your past tweets. We're going to issue a statement saying that you've already previously apologized and you moved on with your life and that you are doing better things now. And that's how we're going to handle that. But instead they go, no, you need to disavow and you need to apologize and you need to do it publicly or else we're going to move on. At what point in time does ever offering an ultimatum to somebody mean you have the best intentions at mind? They care about their PR. They care about their PR. And Kevin cares about his. His follow-up tweets were clearly PR based. They were. I'm sure he is legitimately sorry for the things he had said 10 years ago, and he wouldn't do that now, and he wouldn't do that again. But it's like, at the same time, it's like just reiterating that kind of shows that like you could tell that it was clearly a publicist just saying, put it out there and move away from it. But this is the cost of being a bit of an edgy individual on the internet, right? We've talked about this before, where you say the wrong thing, you can get deplatformed from Twitter, you can get deplatformed from Patreon, you can lose the Oscar job. This is the problem with the tolerant left. They're not very tolerant. And I also would just like to quickly say, for the sake of equality, it also means that there's the right wingers aren't going to get off scot-free on this one either. All right, they're on both sides. You have those kind of really pathetic individuals on both sides that want to do nothing more than just hold somebody down simply because they want to feel better about their own shitty existence rather than benefiting themselves and elevating up past it, right? Those people exist. As I said, they're bullies and they're assholes and fuck them to eternity. So yeah, I feel bad for Kevin Hart. He got put in an impossible situation. He's apologized for past jokes that he made. That's fine. He was then given the ultimatum to do it again or lose out on the job. He chose to not do it. He stood his ground, and then he pulled himself away from doing it. He wasn't let go. He stepped down to maintain the upper hand. And that is the better move here. He took control, not them. And that's really what this whole thing is about. So I really do hope that they bring him back. I tell you, if they bring him back in the future, that will be a highly watched episode. And that's the thing, the Academy Awards need it. The relevancy has been dropping for years. 2014, 43 million people watched Ellen DeGeneres. Last year, Jimmy Kimmel, like 23 million people, right? It's been going down. People don't care about the Oscars anymore. They don't care. They're not flashy enough. They're not culturally relevant enough. And people have just moved on from that. And as a result, Kevin Hart would have been probably a big shot to the arm for this, but they screwed themselves, and that's the world they have to live in now. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know down in the comments below. If you guys made it this far, type in Oscars into the chat so I know. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. If you guys like it, I do appreciate everyone being here. I really do. And talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.